my secret now. I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull no punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal?
Okay, not sure what happened there. Sorry.
Well, hello, everybody.
Well, hello, everybody. As some of you know me already, I'm Bob Van Buren from the Van Buren Variety Show, and I have the honor of being the host of the show tonight. So don't tune off on my behalf. Oh, that's about Bob guy. No, don't do that. Hey, cut everybody else a break. Just ignore me, you know. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, good.
Good.
Doing good. Got in my new office, and I was telling them earlier, I said, it took me 7 hours to get this desk together. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to make it.
Well, I actually thought, as I told one of y'all earlier, that when I was invited to do this, I thought it was 9 o'clock Central Time, which is where I'm at. Then all of a sudden I get a text. I'm like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, ready for what? But no, I'm honored. Thank you y'all for inviting me tonight to host this. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
We're glad to have you.
I have to bail out at around 9 o'clock for a little bit, and we just needed someone to do our breaks and all that good stuff for us. So we appreciate you stepping up to the plate for sure.
No problem.
For sure. All right, Aaron.
What?
How are you?
You're my co-pilot. Go ahead, co-pilot.
I am doing good. I want to just welcome everybody to Blondes and Booze and the Woo. I'm doing good tonight. Got my Christmas tree. I'm having a hot flash, all that good stuff that happens. I don't have any Christmas jingle jangle on like I did last night, so but
Oh,
yeah,
well, see, we
good.
can help.
Oh, I
yeah.
like that.
There you go, Brandy.
Well, I'm trying to get in the Christmas spirit too. If you can see my shirt, but
Nice.
Geez. It's like, where were you last night? Jeez.
Right?
Right.
So I am Erin, if anybody didn't know. And right above me is
I'm Krista.
And I'm Brandy.
Yes. And we're all really happy to have everyone here tonight. It's going to be an exciting show. We have a really fun and amazing person to interview and talk to tonight. We've all really enjoyed talking with him in the past, and we're really excited to talk with him about the upcoming stuff he's got going on right now. So go ahead and take it away there, Krista.
Yep, I'm pretty excited about having him on here. He is owner of Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa, and also a member of the G Crew. And I'm going to bring him up. Here is Josh Hurd. Hey, Josh.
Hey, what's up, guys?
hi, Josh.
How we doing?
We're glad you joined us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm pretty excited about this. I actually, I've talked to you for probably off and on the last year and a half, but I actually didn't meet you face to face until last year.
Yeah,
Malvern, and you signed the Blondes banner for us.
I did. I do remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. We appreciate that.
That was great.
So, if anybody doesn't know, we have when we do different conventions or shows, or we have a banner and it's a Blondes and Booze. So we always have anybody who's somebody sign it for us. So Josh, we took it to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, sign this.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
So
good.
I have to say, I remember when we went to Malvern Manor, we had just gotten there and we were going up to the front porch, and Josh, you scared the living crap out of Mark because you kind of popped out
remember
of
that.
nowhere. We didn't think you were there yet, and you
Yeah.
came out, and he about launched himself off of that porch.
I do remember
And
that.
ran. We were a little on edge, and amped up and excited.
Yeah.
And you popped out of nowhere going, oh shoot, they must be here.
yeah.
Jumped back and almost took me out, and ran and jumped off of the porch, and
Yep.
yeah,
Like the
That was
first
fun.
scare for the night, and the night
that was
hasn't
our
even
first
started
scare
yet.
for the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Josh,
Everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, let's go right into Malvern Manor. That place is scary as shit.
I've never been there, so you have to tell me about that.
Yeah. It can be it can be super weird, and it's always funny to me too, because I'm here primarily throughout the day, and then I'll check in the groups, and I go home, after that. But so I mean, during the day, it's still weird, it's still spooky at times, but at night it totally shifts gears, and it's almost like you can feel the temperature change, right? It's very bizarre how that works. But yeah, it's night and day, literally. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's very, very odd how this building
I want to
reacts.
just say something real quick. I don't mean to interrupt you, Josh, but there is anybody who's going through our Facebook stream. We can only see Facebook user, and this person said, "OMG, my serious favorite place ever." If you want us to
that's
acknowledge
awesome.
you, who you are, go in through YouTube, through the YouTube link, and we'll be able to see.
Or allow StreamYard to use your name.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Josh.
No, not at all. Please.
The
all.
Facebook users know if so.
That's cool.
Well, if you're a Facebook user, we still see you. Well, we don't know who you are, but we see you.
Yeah.
What you say matters. We just don't know who you are.
Right, exactly. So tell us how Josh, how you came about Malvern.
Yeah. It was pretty much a happy little accident, if I'm being honest. I was across the street filming my first documentary film, and we were at this place. It was called the Classic Cafe, which once you come to town, if you get a chance to eat there, do so. Do yourself
I
a
believe
favor.
we did. I think that's where we went to eat.
Just across the street, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the place is
good,
great.
Yeah.
Really good food.
really good.
But so we're there, and I didn't realize there's a bar that's attached to the Classic Cafe. It was a Friday night, and so noise contamination and all that stuff, it made an investigation absolutely impossible. And so this was night one of filming, my first documentary, and I'm like, oh God, we screwed the pooch on this already. Perfect, and it had been a long day. My dad had just gone into the hospital. It was bad and chaotic and just weird. And so I went outside and I'm smoking a cigarette because I was pissed. And this guy was outside, in this little beer garden area that they have, and he's like, "What's with all the cameras, dude?" And I was like, "Oh crap." This guy's going to think that I'm crazy, or he's going to think that maybe this is kind of cool. So I just told him what we were up to, and he was like, "Oh, that's kind of neat." He's like, "I really don't believe in that type of stuff. However, there are some weird things that happen at this location, this building that I own that I can't really explain." And he's like, "Yeah, the place is 10,000 square feet. It used to be a hotel and a nursing home, and then more of a group home for mentally handicapped people." And I was like, "Where is this place?" He's like, "It's just right there across the street, dude." And I was like, "Pretty sure we just became best friends, right?" So I'm like, "That's awesome." So he was kind enough to let us into this building that night. So literally, the first 10 minutes of my documentary is us stumbling upon what one day we would then call Malvern Manor. We had no idea, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but like we were blown away by this place. And like so much so, like I would even call him at just random ass times of the night or whatever. And I'd be like, hey man, can I get into the house? And at that time he lived next door. So he was like, yeah, dude, no problem. Whatever. You know where the key's at. And because he just had a key hidden or whatever. And so I'd cruise over to his house. I'd flip him $100. You know what I mean? I'd go in here and just mess around. And God, it was a great time. And I was like, I really don't think you understand like what you have here. You know, like people would pay money to come here and hear the history and experience this place and all of that. And he was like, okay. And so we opened the doors, you know, to the public, and it was like a cash only type thing. I mean, we didn't even have a working toilet at that point in time. Like it was just a mess. But then he had called me one day and he was like, hey man, I got a new job. I got to sell everything. I'm selling everything, the house and this place and everything. And I was like, why don't you just pump the brakes and give me just a few weeks to figure some stuff out here? And so we were fortunate enough to, you know, keep the building doing what it was already doing, because at that time, nobody knew this, but I was already on the phone with Nick, you know, to like come here for paranormal lockdown. And so I was like, this place is going to explode and nobody even knows it yet. But yeah, so I was like, God, like this building has to stay open.
Yeah.
Like there's no way around it. So yeah.
Right.
So
right.
we were fairly fortunate.
What I find fascinating about that building is when you gave us the tour, the walkthrough, and you were like, don't lean on the walls upstairs. You know, it was upstairs.
Yeah.
And is that you left it literally all original, how you found it.
Exactly. Yeah, including the blood stains on the walls. I mean, they're still there.
Yeah.
The same mattresses that people laid on, slept in, died in some cases are still right there. And I mean, now like we've been doing so much research and just homework, you know what I mean? That's kind of the fun stuff of all of this. But like we are able to 100% definitively say that 197 people thus far that I know about have lost their lives on property.
Wow.
Now, I mean, when it comes to like a nursing home or something similar to that, like it's almost expected. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
In some cases, there were people that were brought in here specifically for that purpose, more comfort care, you know, things like that. Hi, Heidi. How's it going? But yeah. So, I mean, people would come here and I mean, even sometimes a matter of hours later would expire. Right. And sometimes it took weeks, you know, I mean, it's just, there's no real telling when it comes to that sort of thing, I'm sure. But yeah, so interesting place for sure. Now I have a list of 40 more names that I consider maybe, that I can't definitively say, yes, they did or no, they did not pass away here on property. So I, you know, publicly would never come out with that.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Heidi says
I miss you too, Heidi. You need to come back for a visit sometime, anytime.
I just, when I was there, I think the part that was the creepiest was that on the main floor, that back hallway with the shadow.
Yeah.
You know where I'm talking?
Absolutely.
And we did the Estes method in there, and it was crazy. The answers that, you know, she's usually our dummy there that gets blindfolded and the whole 9 yards.
She's like, excuse me?
There's a compliment in there somewhere, I think, maybe.
I didn't mean that in a bad way at all.
That's funny.
Dumb blonde.
Oh my God.
But she's the one, you know, that usually, you know, is the one that wears the headphones and everything.
Yeah.
And the answers that she was getting, you know, that went everything along with the questions, you know, that we were asking, and it was absolutely amazing.
It is pretty interesting. I know, like, we've tried to do, like, you know, the Estes method back there. We've done like the double Estes method where we put somebody at either end of the hallway, which, I mean, in that case, there's damn near 100 feet between the two of you, you know? So it's fascinating, some of the results that you get and some of the answers that you're getting. They seem far more intelligent than I think what we even sometimes give them credit for. It's amazing what they do.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was a pretty intense session. One of the better ones that I've done.
That's
honestly.
awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually, after doing that session, I got the overwhelming feeling of emotion, because I was over there by Rachel's room.
Oh, Rebecca's room. Yes.
Rebecca. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was over there, and I just had such an overwhelming emotional feeling that,
Wow.
I mean, usually
Oh, wow.
I have to go afterwards and kind of take a, just take a breather. But this was one of those where I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to cry for her.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
How old was she?
So, I mean, she was quite young. And I mean, she was only in her mid-30s, and she was dropped off at this place by her husband, which was something you could just do. 2 signatures is all it took back then, and that was it. Off you go. But yes, crazy stuff with her. Like,
yes.
Obviously, she thought, my husband doesn't love me. He doesn't find me attractive. Right. But this became an obsession for her, like quite the obsession. She would pluck the hair out of her head. And I mean, just terrible things. She was heavily medicated. She did not physically respond well at all. She stopped eating. She stopped drinking. I mean, she literally wastes away to nothing. So it's certainly one of the more sad stories that we have. But again, more to your point then, is like female investigators seem to have the most luck, right? As far as any interaction, even the introduction of a male into that room can flatline activity. I consider myself rather fortunate. Like I'm here every day. I think she might be used to me by now.
Right.
I'm picking up, I'm doing things like that. And I'm always talking to her, and I'm always trying to, I guess, comfort her in a way that makes it seem like, look, I'm not going to hurt you in any way. I'm not going to try and piss you off in any way. Nothing. And I think that's helped. Like just the other day, in fact, it was Tuesday this week. I got on this weird kick now. I'm making just a ton of YouTube videos, right? So I'm just putting out little 15-minute, 20-minute long investigations of just me dicking around with different pieces of equipment here at the Manor. And I was down there specifically. Every piece of camera equipment that I had was pointing down towards the Shadow Man hallway. That was where I thought everything was going to be. So I had like crazy mood lighting and all this stuff and like flickering candles, and it was looking spooky and just sexy, right? It was amazing. And everything that was happening was on just behind the camera towards Rebecca's room. And so luckily I had a GoPro in my hand as well, just in case, like run and gun type stuff, because the camera that I'm using is a cinema camera. Like it doesn't just move, you know what I mean? So yeah. And so I run down there with the GoPro and I'm messing around, and I'm coming then back towards like the actual camera itself, and I hear this noise. So I quick spin around. Rebecca had just unlocked and opened the door, and I caught it all on camera. And I was like, thank God that I had that camera in my hand. Otherwise, nobody's going to believe me, you know, when it comes to this stuff.
Right.
You can see it clearly?
Oh, absolutely. Like clear, very clear. It was phenomenal. It was interesting to me because it's almost like this building is 5 steps ahead of you at all times. Because I had every piece of equipment and fun gadgets and geekometers imaginable pointing down the opposite way. And everything else was on behind the camera and all of that stuff. So I was like, this is crap. So I literally have just a GoPro when it comes to all of the good stuff, right?
Right.
But you're hearing disembodied voices. Like I had a lav mic on, you know, like on my chest here. And even over the lav mic, you're hearing disembodied voices saying things. Like it was phenomenal. And so I'm like, this was really cool for like just a 20-minute video or whatever.
Right.
Like that was certainly more than I was expecting to have happen. That's for sure.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
I have to say that a lot of what I experienced there, just as, you know, as a medium, that there are several spirits there that they really are interested and they want to communicate.
Yeah.
It's just
definitely.
They want to communicate on their terms. So if you go in there respectful and you go in there with an open mind of their situation,
Yeah.
they will communicate with you. It was very heartfelt, usually
Yes.
with places that have been investigated a lot. I noticed that the spirits will kind of back up more. Not here. So you can tell that it's been investigated respectfully.
Yeah. And for the
Because
most
they
part,
are
yeah, people
interested.
do. For the most part, people are respectful here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, we've had a few people or
Oh, of
whatever,
course.
but that's anywhere, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, people are excellent.
Yeah.
So
When it
y'all
comes to this
haven't
place.
detected any hostility there with the
I
spirits?
mean,
then?
every once in a while, certainly, there is something here that I don't know what it is or even how to categorize it in any way. He refers to himself as number one, which I thought is just like, oh, okay, it's just a cocky ghost. You know what I mean? He's like, just whatever.
Right.
But
You're right.
there is something about him. Like, one of my favorite things to do is I'll go to Gracie's room and I will lay down on Gracie's bed and I will just word vomit for 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever. And then I'm just, Gracie, how was your day? Or Gracie, you're never going to believe this crap. You know what I mean? And just, bleh.
Right.
And it's more like therapy, right? But at the same time, like, some of the responses that I get from Gracie are phenomenal. But
That's
Wow.
great.
there are certain times where she will be saying things and then she'll say, oh, he's coming.
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming. He's here. Goodbye. And it's flatline, done. And then
Yeah.
here comes
Wow.
this really weird, nasty, guttural type of voice telling you some pretty nasty things, if I'm being honest. So I don't know. Like, a lot of people want to throw around the D word and all that stuff, and that's fine and dandy, sure.
Well,
I don't really get that feeling necessarily,
Yeah.
no.
but I don't know.
Yeah, I personally,
Yeah.
I've done some demonic stuff in the past,
Yeah.
and my thing is I can tell when one's round. I get real dizzy, and
Okay.
I never had that in your place. I can
Right.
usually pick up something. There's a difference between a nasty entity and a demonic entity.
Yes.
And people say, "Oh, my door opened and shut. I have a demon." No, you don't.
No.
And I definitely don't believe there's anything demonic at Malvern.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe
Yeah.
a little scary, a little ticked
Yeah.
off,
Definitely. Yeah.
but nothing
Well,
demonic.
yeah, and I've noticed too. One thing I've noticed is that a lot of places that held people with mental illness,
Yeah.
those spirits tend to make themselves something that they're not, and in the afterlife, they tend to transform themselves into things that they're not. So I know I've come into contact at places that I could tell that they had mental illness. I have a psychology degree. So
Sure.
I could see when I'm looking, I can see through the eyes of mental illness.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure it out usually. And when they're suffering from that, they make themselves change into these bigger, like really big, tall entities that are 7 feet tall. That they're not that big. They
Right.
change themselves. And I think that has to do with mental illness. And I think that has to do with self-worth and self-esteem and how they saw themselves and how they want to see themselves.
Yes.
And, with that being a place that people were just dropped off at, who's to say that this entity isn't someone who had mental illness and has just kind of abused now the situation that he's in, and made himself an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
There you go.
fascinating too, right? So, I mean, again, like, I always try to do my homework. I'm always trying to learn more about this place, specifically when the paranormal and something factual and definitive kind of come together, right? And correlate. Like, that to me is the good stuff. And like, our shadow man, like this, 7-foot tall entity that will just charge right at you. I mean, it's something very similar to that. Like, the gentleman that occupied that room was 6'7", nonverbal, so he can't speak, mentally deranged, had actually killed a few people in the past. So here is a monster of a gentleman in life who cannot verbally relay or probably even process emotions like we can, right? He's just acting upon them as he sees fit.
Right.
Naturally, these little nurses or whatever that are just trying to earn a paycheck, I mean, they're terrified of this guy, and probably, maybe even rightfully so. I have no idea.
He's
No,
intimidating, I'm sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But he knew he was intimidating, right?
Right.
And every time they would do bed checks or whatever, which I can only assume was damn near hourly, probably, like he would come out of that room and he would chase those nurses, and he would chase them all the way to the kitchen, which is about half a house away. I mean, so it's quite a distance. But he would chase them to the kitchen and stop himself right at the threshold. He would never go into the kitchen. Now, if he was 100% actively trying to cause you harm, what better place than a kitchen?
Right.
I mean, you could
got
get
weapons
really
in the kitchen.
creative.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. But he never would. He would turn and go about his business and just catch you next hour or whatever. You know, he was getting a rise out of people. But now, here at Malvern Manor, we have this giant shadow figure that will charge at people. And it is moving the distance of 40 feet in less than a second. It is moving that fast. But never once has somebody been, scratched or punched or hit or any of that negative stuff. The second we flinch and react, it seems to be done and over with. So is this something that's residual? Is this something that is just, again, so damn intelligent that it knows what you're going to do before you even know what you're going to do?
Right.
Again,
Absolutely.
just maybe possibly getting a rise out of somebody. I don't know, but
A little
these are all
mischievous, I
fun
guess.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, maybe he's just, I don't know, up to some fun and games. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you think about it, like when you are, if you are an entity and you are charging at somebody like that and they are going to run, you amplify that energy.
Definitely.
You're amplifying that energy. And if they are feeding off of that energy, you're giving that entity a boost in a sense. And so that's probably a part of it. And I'm sorry, but if I was a ghost, I probably would chase people too. Just
I would have so much fun.
For the fun of it.
I would do it.
I would have so much
I would
fun.
pop out of walls and I would, write I'm a demon on the wall.
Yes.
Like,
Boo,
I would do
Gemma.
all that. I probably would.
Oh my God, I would be right there. Yeah, I would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'd probably be more like Casper. I'm too much of a nice guy. I'd probably be the Casper kind of ghost. Oh, did I scare you? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I would probably do a lot more of the psychological type stuff first, and then you show yourself. Like you build it up for about 2 hours. It just really mess with these people's minds. And then you show yourself and just completely wreck them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, question on the shadow guy that charges people. So I was back there in that hallway quite a bit trying to, get some kind of reaction, get something to charge at me. And it never happened.
Right.
So I guess my question could be, but my thing is when I go into these places, I'm not scared.
Sure.
So could it be maybe the people it does charge? Have you noticed, are they more on the little timid side, a little scared, and the people who are stronger, not necessarily stronger, that's bad wording.
No,
but,
I get it.
Where it's like, okay, I can't intimidate that one,
Well, I tell you, so there was this one dude, this one guy comes for a day tour. And he was a big guy. And I mean, like muscles for days, like the last dude I would ever piss off. Okay. Like he was an MMA fighter. And so, I mean, this guy knows how to mess somebody up. Right. And so, again, I'm minding my P's and Q's, but still, he was more on the skeptical side. And he wasn't being like a cynical butthead or anything like that. He was just more like whatever. And he walks into the room. That's kind of the last room on the right before you get to the Shadow Man's room, right? And he was in that room. He was like, well, nothing around here is going to scare me. And then at that moment, and this is right out of his mouth, he says he felt what felt like a hand on his neck.
Wow.
And like a choking in his neck. And then a voice in his ear that said, how about now? And he lost it. Literally, this giant man breaks down like he's in tears. He went outside, out back, like in the back under the carport. He sat there for 90 minutes sobbing. I mean, his entire belief structure just got flipped on its heels, right?
Wow.
So can they see through that facade, right?
Yeah.
Here's this giant dude walking through, and they're like, nah, I still got this guy.
I think you're tempting them. You're
Maybe.
tempting them. So that's like, okay, I'll just show you up then.
Maybe they're taking bets. They're like, who can make this guy cry first? Right?
Right.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, I'm not saying anything about myself or whatever. Like, I've done this for a while. Like, I've been around the block a time or 5, right?
Mhm.
And that hallway I have run out of this place more than twice because of that. Because of the overwhelming feeling of just dread. Like the first 2 times this happened to me, like I was just going back there with a vacuum. Like I was just doing my job and not expecting anything, not trying to elicit a response or anything like that. Literally just walking back there to vacuum the hallway, and there it happens. And
wow,
to hell with that. Like I wasn't asking for that. And did they know that? Probably, maybe.
Yeah.
The last time that I actually had an encounter for myself, I was here alone, middle of the night, and I stood back there for 4 solid hours. Just again, alone, begging this thing to actually just come on. Let's see what happens. I want to see what happens if I don't flinch, if I don't run, if I don't scream, if I don't wet myself, if I don't whatever. And it did happen after the 4 hours, but I still flinched. So I don't know what happens if we don't react.
Yeah.
And like it happens so damn fast that you're just going to react, I think. So I don't know. Like maybe you'd have to like tie me to a chair or something. I don't know.
Right.
But it's pretty interesting stuff.
It is. It truly is. I think your building is awesome. I truly do. We just let everybody know. We've got 2 times next year where we will be at Malvern Manor. One is I think it's April 29th. We'll be there with Haunted Soul Society, and then July 8th. We're going to do a Blondes overnight, and Josh is going to stick around and
I will. Yes.
investigate with us that night. So
I will for sure.
So
fun.
I'm not familiar with it. What state is this located in?
So we are in Southwest Iowa.
Iowa. Okay.
Yep.
I'm in Texas, obviously.
Yeah. I've been to Texas a couple times this year.
I've never been to Iowa, so I guess I have to check that out.
You're not missing too much, my friend. You're not missing.
Well, I want to go where y'all are talking
There's
about. I want to go there.
Going on in Iowa.
There is. You know what's weird about that? Paranormally speaking, you are absolutely correct. Like there is a lot going on here, and it kind of makes you wonder why.
The ground.
I really honestly believe that.
Well, I have to tell you, when Josh, hey, Aaron, remember our trip there? So when we were coming to Malvern,
it was a shit show.
And Mark and myself had it in GPS. We did like an hour of gravel roads.
Yeah,
I took videos of going. I took videos, and I played Deliverance.
Yeah, see,
like the opening. I was like, okay, there's just. All there is cornfields and a church with graveyards. That's
so I need to go up there. I need to go up there with a horse and buggy then.
Possibly.
Possibly. I was like, this place. There's no hauntings here. It's like Children of the Corn out there.
It is. It really is.
I like to check that place out myself. You got me intrigued now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're more than welcome to join us on July 8th.
July the 8th. All right.
Yeah, we'd love to have you, man. It'd be great.
Yeah.
It is interesting though, like when you start to talk about like just Iowa and the hauntings and all that stuff. I mean, literally, like you look at the different things. I mean, one of the scariest stories I ever read was actually, I mean, it's 100% true. This was all documented by the Catholic Church themselves. And Anna Eklund, if you ever look into that story of Anna Eklund, like check that out. That happened about 45 minutes away from here. In a little town called Erling, Iowa. Nasty possession type case. And
really?
I mean, it's totally documented from start to finish. Terrifying stuff.
You know, it would be fun to just go and like through Iowa, just go to like different places.
Oh, yeah.
Like do like a whole thing on just haunted ass places in
You
Iowa.
could.
And just
You could.
because it's like you're just driving through the middle of nowhere, and then all of a
Exactly.
sudden you come upon, Malvern Manor. There's nowhere to
Yeah.
eat but across the street, which is delicious.
It is delicious.
Like it's just so odd. It's just so
They have
weird
really
that
good
the whole
coffee
state-
too.
Oh my
It
gosh.
almost sounds like the hills have eyes.
Oh.
The little town too there is it's very cute. It's
It is
very
a cute little
They had a
town.
little they had some live music going on
Yes.
and stuff.
So-
It was so cool.
Like they do that. It's like a little concert series. So yeah, and Crystal is 100% correct, because you go down the road, same stretch of road, about 30 to 40 minutes, and then you're in Villisca.
Yes.
I mean,
So-
it's a straight shot to Villisca.
That's what I'm saying
isn't
is
there a
it's like
little-
you can
isn't
go
there-
anywhere.
Isn't there a tie though, Josh, between Malvern and Villisca?
Potentially. Now, and we can't definitively say yes or no. However, Johnny and I were we're like best friends. We sit around and BS with each other all the time, send each other stupid TikToks and all that. You know what I mean? But it's one of those weird 3 a.m. type conversations where you're just like, dude, what if this, and oh my God, and like all that stuff. But him and I were talking one night, and he's like, wait a second. This building was a hotel during that time. I'm like, dude, this place was more than a hotel in 1912. This place was the place to be in 1912. This was the pinnacle of the area, in fact. Like, people came all over and they stayed here.
That's interesting.
It is quite feasible that whoever did the Villisca axe murders, him or they or whoever, like, it's quite feasible that they would have stayed here a night or two before, maybe even after.
Wow.
It's even then feasible to suggest and entertain the idea that then possibly the Villisca axe murders were plotted right here in this building.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And
Right.
for
What
those
history.
of you that don't know,
Possibly.
real quick, the Villisca axe murders were like Josh said in 1912, and it was a whole family, children, mother, father, was brutally murdered.
8 in total. 6 of them children. 6 children.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's worse than
found,
the Amityville murders.
except for the
Wow.
father.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Except for the father. The father was the only one killed with the sharp edge of the axe, probably because he posed the biggest threat. Everybody else was bludgeoned to death with the flat,
That's horrible.
thicker
Wow.
part of it.
Yeah.
The axe marks are still in the damn walls and the ceilings and everything. It's terrifying,
Yeah, it's awful. It's an awful deal.
Yeah,
I don't want to tell too much because I want you to hook me up with Johnny and have him come on.
definitely, absolutely. I'd love to.
That'd be
Absolutely,
perfect.
we'd love to do the show too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry. I'm sitting here being quiet, and I don't mean to be. I really don't. I've never been. I've never heard the stories.
Yeah,
which
I'm with you on that. I
don't,
haven't either.
you know. And so I'm sitting here quiet, but it's like a good book. All the stuff you're talking about, and I'm like, it's like, oh
It's
my
weird.
goodness. And it's like, I don't want people to talk to me. I'm like, shh, I'm listening. And I usually talk more, but I the stories that that you have, and that Aaron and Krista even have about it is just so fascinating. I'm just being quiet.
I mean,
and I hate to do that, but it's good. It's good stuff.
It's one of those places, like, I'm just a fan of history anyway, right? And so
Oh, me too.
for
Yeah.
me to, and that's what's really cool about like what we do, right? Is we're given access to these buildings.
Right.
Where like the general public for the most part doesn't really care, or they don't have access or whatever. It's like, how many people can say, okay, yeah, I went and I sat in the attic of some abandoned freaking Mason's Lodge or something like that, or I got to investigate, like, now in my life I think I've investigated 4 battleships. Like, that's amazing. That's so cool. You know, it's like these were a pivotal part in just American history, and things like that. It's like, I love this stuff. And to say you were there and you know what it smells like to be in the attic of the Villisca house, or what it smells like in the basement, one of the 2 basements here at Malvern Manor. You know what I mean? Like, you can say things like that, and most people are like, Jesus Christ, like, what? It's amazing what we do. It's amazing the things that we're allowed to do. All in the name of research too. It's fun.
Well,
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I gotta
No, I
think we're
totally
crazy.
understand. And
Yeah.
there's something amazing about seeing these places. And I know, like for me, I do a lot of psychometry. So I'm such a touchy. I gotta touch stuff.
Yeah.
So touching these places is really, it's amazing to see all of this.
Yeah.
And and being able to see people take care of it, it does my heart good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's important.
I
We
do
keep
too.
these buildings doing what they're doing, right? And keeping that history alive in some way, no matter what it takes.
Yep.
You just do it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming next year twice.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh yeah. It'll be
a good
fun.
time. Definitely going to be a good time. And we'll be posting on Blondes too about both events. One will be in April, and like I said, the other's in July. And the one in July, Josh is gonna hang with us and investigate with us. So that'll be fun.
We're looking forward to that. I can't wait myself.
The one in April, aren't we staying all night?
Yes.
Yep.
He's like, oh.
I got to tell you, Josh.
Pillow and the blankie.
Well, I have to tell you. So the night that Aaron and I came up there, I could not sleep in your building. We left. We went to
not going to.
We went to, Aaron. We went to some town. There was one room in this hotel, and it was the bridal suite. We had to share the bridal suite. Me and Aaron.
You have like a heart-shaped hot tub and all that fun stuff too.
No, all glass shower.
Oh, that's what's up.
All glass shower with 2 recliner chairs facing towards it.
That's what's up.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I was like, Krista, you're closing your eyes. If I gotta wash my hair.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah. So in April, though, I do plan on staying there.
Nice.
And then remember, Krista, I think it was like 8 a.m. The gal came in to clean it.
At 8 a.m?
Yes. She opened up the door. And I almost like threw my phone at her because I was just like protection mode. And Krista just yells, "What the fuck?" It was like this whole thing.
PG-13, honey. PG-13.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
You're already scared anyways. Like you're trying to like tone down and just sleep and like, and like this one was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, lady. Yeah.
Right.
Damn.
Right. So
it's
Josh,
the bridal suite too.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think?
So Josh, I also hear rumor that you are in a band and you play some music.
I do.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this. Oh.
Yeah. So my buddy Brad and I, it's just the two of us, two of us assholes. So Brad plays percussion and sings, and I play guitar and sing, and we do everything. Like we play all sorts of different types of music. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So do you play at like local bars, or is it just something?
Yeah, I mean, we usually have 1 or 2 gigs in a month is usually what we our schedules kind of allow us to do. But yeah, I mean, it was kind of fun. We had an event here, just a couple weeks ago, and I actually for the first time ever had a gig in this town, and so I was right just catty corner from this place, and so a lot of the attendees caught wind of that, and they went over there and caught the band and then came back and investigated and all that stuff. It was so much fun.
That's cool.
It was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's fun.
So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, it was cool. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun with it. Everybody's like, "Oh, what kind of music do you play?" I'm like, anything we want. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun. Like we play everything from Garth Brooks to Tool. What do you want to hear? You know what I mean? Like anything.
The best response to say is when someone asks if you play music, to say yes.
Yes.
What kind of music do you play? Yes.
All types. Yeah. It's like I'm just very eclectic. I've always been like one of the first bands I remember actually like really being into was the Beach Boys. And I loved the Beach Boys because of the harmonies and stuff. And oh my God, like that was
all summer long. I love that.
It was it for me, man. Like I loved the Beach Boys, and then I got into Nirvana and stuff. And I remember Counting
Oh, that's a good
Crows
one.
was huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of these bands that were just kick ass, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and now it's just like, yeah, we just play whatever we want to, like whatever
That's
strikes us
awesome.
fancy. Yeah.
How long have
That's
you
so
played?
That's fun.
Oh God. So I am 41 years old, and I've been playing since I was 16.
Okay.
I used to play basketball, and we were running line drills, and my friend Brandon stepped on my foot and broke it. And so I was laid up, and I had this guitar sitting in my room for the past like 3-4 years, and I just decided to finally pick it up and just taught myself how to play. And so then, yeah,
That's cool.
it was pretty good stuff.
So my dad was a recording artist when I was
Oh,
growing up.
wow.
And I lived
That's
just right
good.
outside of Seattle, Washington.
Oh, hell.
Yep. So Nirvana, all that stuff. Yep.
The Melvins, like
Yep.
all of those bands. Yes.
All-
Wow.
I
Pearl
grew
Jam,
up-
of course.
I grew up in flannels.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you grew up
Mm.
in, like, you
Yeah.
were in the BS. Like,
I
that's
was in it.
amazing.
So my dad was a recording artist out there, and I remember as like a kid, these people would come. Well, my dad's major recording studio was down below our house,
Yeah.
and I remember as a kid just all these guys coming over and playing Barbies with me in between sets, you know,
Yeah.
and like just people that are very well known. And I remember just bugging the hell out of them, going, "Play
That's
Barbies
amazing.
with me," you know.
It's like, hey, you
And-
loser, come play. Yeah.
Right. You know, like
Oh
these
my
guys, like, you know, with their
That's
grunge music out there
Yes.
playing Barbies with me with all their tattoos and stuff. And so, like, that's what I grew up with is like
That's
the whole
amazing.
Nirvana thing. And like my godfather was really good friends with Kurt Cobain,
See,
things
that's
like
like-
that.
Oh,
Like,
that's awesome.
like
So, like,
all
that's
of
the
that.
reason I started really playing guitar was Nirvana. I mean, I was like,
Nirvana.
damn,
Yes.
like this, it hit me right in between the eyes with those
Yes.
guys, you know?
And
it was just
Seattle,
amazing.
at that time, Seattle was popular, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that big. So everybody a lot of people in the music scene in Seattle knew Kurt. So
Sure.
it wasn't unusual when people knew who he was. It just, once it got
Yeah.
big and Seattle got known for what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I grew up, was out there
Oh my God.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing.
my entire life
Jesus.
until only like 7 years ago.
Wow.
But yeah, so music in my family is a huge thing. So yeah, I play the guitar, sing, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think anybody who
That's
really
great.
appreciates music, it's the whole. I don't have a specific genre.
Right.
I listen to DJ mixes. I listen to the Beatles, all that stuff, and you just
Me
embrace
too.
it. And
Mhm.
it's
That's good
just,
stuff.
it opens up your world. It's very cool. So I really love that you like play all these different things and just make
Oh, yeah.
it fun.
Yeah. Just anything that kind of strikes a chord with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's the
Right.
stuff. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
That's me too. I have a variety. I go from like rock or hard rock to smooth jazz
Yes.
to country. And
Yeah.
so I grew up with 1980s pop music. That was kind of my forte, and I
Oh,
still
yeah.
listen to it. So
That's one of
Not
my
ashamed.
favorite songs to play is Faith by George Michael. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I freaking
I was like
love that.
Duran, the
Oh, yeah.
Cars, Huey Lewis and the News, Phil Collins. That was
Bro.
my
Huey
forte.
Lewis in the News. Holy crap. That was like my 6 to 9 years old time right there. Like I was like,
You're
in-
aging me, man.
I was in that shit like all the time. It was great. I loved that. Because
See,
mom had
I
all the
was
records,
more-
you know?
I was more into like the 80s hair bands, like, you know.
Oh, yeah, like Poison.
Poison.
Motley Crue,
Vixen.
Bon
Of course.
Jovi. They're still,
Rat.
I still on my
Rat.
playlist.
Cinderella.
Ozzy.
Come
I
on.
love
Actually-
Ozzy.
The bass player from Rat, actually, I mean, he's around here now. So, like, he
Really?
plays,
Really?
yeah, he plays in a local band now. He plays like stand up bass. It's
Really?
awesome.
Oh,
Good shit. Yeah.
cool.
Actually, they were probably playing that night that you all were here, like right out here. Like,
Really?
they're there all the time.
Well,
Yes,
when
absolutely.
we were there was a band out there
Mhm.
that was playing, and then it started raining, and then they quit.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was them or not, but yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
Mhm.
I don't think it was
Those
Rat. I
times-
don't think it was them.
No, you'd know this guy if you saw him for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
He
Yeah,
looks
you
the
know him.
part.
Lightning started striking, and they decided it was time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's time to pack it up. Yeah.
It's good.
But yeah, like it's funny. Like, I mean, even there's a guy from here in town. He actually just lives, less than a block away from here. I mean, he does a lot of stuff for like oh gosh, dang, Steve Miller Band. He does a lot of stuff for the Steve Miller Band. He actually just got off of tour. He was running something, I don't know exactly what, but he was just on Alanis Morissette's tour.
Oh,
wow.
I mean, he's all over the place. You know what I mean? So I mean, he's like a block away. He's got a studio here.
Like Steve Miller, abracadabra.
Yeah.
So with all the musicians living in Iowa.
I'm telling you, it's a weird place to go. It
now
just
you got the musicians.
just attracts all of us weirdos, right?
It must be.
Yeah.
We are living in the wrong state.
Yeah, absolutely.
Iowa, yeah.
So do any of them ghost hunt? Have any of them been to Malvern?
Who?
Like
oh no.
no.
No. Go catch me in the bar. We'll talk in the bar, but no, we don't. No, they don't come here. No. The majority of people that talk smack, actually, it's like about a 60-40 split. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the majority of people think that I'm like some weird Satanist.
Yeah.
There was a weird rumor when we first opened this place up, because they were like, "What's this guy doing with this building?" And this guy's like, "Oh, he's a polygamist. Like he needs this building for all of his wives and sister wives and children and all that stuff." Just talk your stuff, man.
Wow.
Just talk your stuff. I'm just gonna be over here doing my thing.
I hate to break up a good conversation, but we are almost at the 52-minute mark.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break right
real
here.
quick, though, I want everybody to hang around because when we come back, Josh, I want to talk to you more about the G Crew also.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah,
So hopefully we don't have
everybody's show too.
Yeah, and I want to know more if you have a polygamy family.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we won't have a delay. I don't know what happened to the intro, y'all. It just what that pause was. I don't know. I don't know if that was me or the connection or just what. So
well,
I got my little timer. So if
minutes.
something happens on the break, I'll have time for 5 minutes. So
Okay.
we'll be right back, y'all.
We'll be right back.
Four minutes to go, folks. 4 minutes. Three minutes. We're almost there. 2-minute warning, guys. 2-minute warning. One minute. 1 minute.
We're back.
Yay,
We're back.
Everybody, we're back.
We now continue with our regular scheduled program.
Did I make it?
There's my DJ voice.
Absolutely. My mom,
That's it. That's all you got, huh?
Like, did I make it? Oh my gosh.
Literally.
We are here.
Very strong around me. So
And she's got her mic on.
Oh,
Maybe-
she does.
Maybe 2 more seconds.
When I'm having my
I muted her mic. So how dare Bob Van Buren make me shut up?
I know. Right? Oh, my goodness.
Can she
probably didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I don't know. She was on the phone.
Okay.
So I have no idea. So
I
anyway,
like-
I did have a question for you, Josh. Now
Yeah,
at
please.
Malvern Manor, you're there every day, you said.
Yeah,
Or
pretty much.
out.
Yeah.
Do you live there or do you live elsewhere?
No, I live elsewhere. Yeah. I live like 15 minutes away.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
So yeah, it's
Oh.
just close enough and just far enough away, you know? So yeah.
Do you find that you have maybe one spirit or maybe two that follow you around all the time that maybe make themselves known to you a lot?
Yeah. So again, like I think there's this weird bond that Gracie and I have. And like Gracie, she's an interesting character anyway. So like she was in her mid 50s. Now she was DID, or what we used to refer to as multiple personalities. She was also schizophrenic on top of all of that. A very chaotic mind state. A lot of times the nurses could hear male voices coming from Gracie's room. And obviously, you know, having a guy in a girl's room is a big time no-no. So they would have to go and check that out. But they would open the door and it was just her. Like she was able to
Wow.
shift and manipulate her voice to sound male, which is fascinating. Like one evening that we know of in particular, 3 nurses were in there for just an hour. And during this hour, they documented 13 separate distinguishable personalities, which I mean, maybe
13?
Aaron could maybe
wow.
Aaron could attest to this also.
Wow.
I mean, that's damn near, you know, medically unheard of. Like the wheelhouse for somebody with an affliction like DID would be about 2 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
So for her to have 13, I mean, she's certainly tipping the scales.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating stuff for sure. But I don't know. I've always had like this weird thing with Gracie where I'm just like, I don't know. She hits me in my heart for whatever reason. And so that's just the room I go to if I'm going to word vomit or whatever.
Right.
So I seem to get a lot of activity with Gracie and all of that too. There's a grumpy old bastard upstairs. His name's Hank. Hank is just one of those guys. He would sit out on the front porch and he would throw rocks at children. He's just kind of a butthead. I also aspire to be that gentleman one day, but it's one of those things. Like he doesn't really care for the company of ladies. He doesn't like or enjoy the company of women, and will usually call women, I mean, pretty much any vulgar name you can imagine. And he has a pretty extensive vocabulary to say the very least. But I mean, even his clothing items are still in the dresser drawers, right? Like, that's one thing that I kind of pride myself on about Malvern Manor is everything is how we found it. We haven't come in and we haven't staged anything. Like, you will experience this building the same way I first experienced this building that first night that I was telling you about. I mean, that's it. Now, of course, there's creepy dolls and things like that because my friends are buttheads and they know that I hate dolls and they like to bust my chops. But like, I mean, for the most part, I mean, the meat and potatoes of this place is exactly the way it was. I mean, and even down to the blood on the walls, you know, like the things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, tell us about the blood on the walls.
We don't
you know where it came from?
Well, we certainly don't know where it came from. If I'm a betting man, I would suggest that blood would not be on the walls of an actively running facility for more than 5 minutes before it was properly cleaned up. I mean,
right.
There's certain rules and regulations. I mean, I worked in a school for like 7 years of my life, and I mean, even I had to take bloodborne pathogens training and all that stuff. Like, you know how to handle this stuff. And so I would almost suggest that these blood stains, which are all the way up and down this hallway, it's disgusting. Weird fingerprints and around corners and stuff, like, it's weird. But I mean, I would almost suggest that these stains happened when this building fell into disuse, right? That motherfucker. That's the same doll.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
That's worse than Elf on a Shelf ever got to be. Wow.
Show us one more time, Aaron.
Don't do it.
Is that Elf on a Shelf, or what would you call that? What would you call that?
And you have no mic, Aaron.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
She knows. She's God in heaven. Oh my God.
I'm gonna have nightmares about that.
Oh my God. So
I saw that same creepy ass thing in your place.
Yeah. It's up in Inez's room right now. It's in Inez's room. We have the same damn doll. I'll usually put that doll on top of the Christmas tree that we put up here. Because it scares the hell out of people, you know, but oh my God, those things are terrifying. Jesus, why do you have that?
Talk about a conversation piece.
Yeah. The icebreaker, right?
So it is my Elf on a Shelf.
Is it?
Actually, we just move it around the house. We move it around the house to scare the 13-year-old.
Oh, that's
and
perfect.
Just randomly put it in his room, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And he throws it.
Yep.
And you know what? You know where that was purchased at?
Where?
Hobby Lobby.
Oh, those bastards.
Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hobby Lobby.
Those bastards.
Wow.
I swear.
Yes. They have a whole series of them.
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
Was it that in the
It's the
Christmas
creepiest,
stuff?
ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's terrible. It's just terrible. It reminds me of Poltergeist, you know? It's like, just no. Oh my God.
Just no.
Just terrifying.
Something from Amityville, even. That's what I would go.
I'm sorry to do that to you. I just had to. It was just like, oh, I know.
You're like, I know what I could do. It's the same doll. Like, I swear to God, it's the same doll.
Yes.
It's got the same facial
winky
expression
eye.
and yes.
The winky eye.
It's terrible. Oh, it's terrible. It just, it gets right into my soul. It's just, oh God. I'm not a fan of dolls, like, at all. I don't enjoy dolls.
My 13-year-old finds it quite disturbing when I just randomly put it in his room. And like it's just sitting there looking at him. I don't know. It's the fun of being a parent. I'm sure you guys know, as being a parent, it's fun to mess with your kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like that rite of passage.
You have to keep them on their toes a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, except with mine, you know, my little Abby would be like, "Oh, well, yeah, Mom, thanks. I like it."
That's
and
funny.
she'll take it.
Like, thanks for the present, Mom.
Yeah. She'll love it. She'll think it's great.
God.
Well, I know that you know that you're a history buff, and we all are, of course. How many hours do you think that you put in just researching Malvern Manor?
I don't even want to think about it. It's one of those things that's kind of weird because it almost becomes like an obsession, right? And I hate to use that word, but you do. Like you go down that rabbit hole and it just like you just keep finding little nuggets here and there. I mean, we had a group and this was so cool. They just reached out to me this afternoon. We had a group that was here last week. They had a metal detector and everything. They were just kind of going around the yard and things like that. And they found a coin and we couldn't really tell what the coin was. It felt very smooth. So we didn't know what it was or anything like that. They had cleaned it up. It was a nickel, apparently they said, or a 5-cent piece from 1869, which was the year this place was built. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. They're like, yeah, we're going to bring it over to you. I'm like, please do. Like a piece of history right there. You know, it's just amazing to me. But like, I don't, as far as like hours, I mean, Christ, it's got to be months at this point. You know what I mean? Just like months.
Yeah. Well, because I noticed that you speak about the spirits that are still there as if you know them like living people. Like
it kind of feels like I do, honestly. And it's like, you know, right above my head, right above this studio that I have set up here is the area of the house that we call like Inez's room, where that creepy ass doll is sitting. But you know, you'll hear like balls bouncing, you'll hear running and all that stuff. And I always know it's like, damn it, kids. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Like I'm trying to record here and all that stuff, or I'm trying to do whatever. Like, and you have to like stop what you're doing and go and address what's going on up there and be like, hey, you know, it's like you're yelling at your own children, you know? But it's almost like they're doing it to get a rise out of me, you know? And yeah, it's a weird relationship. I swear to God, it's bizarre. You're having a conversation with something you can't physically see. Like that's bizarre. Somebody would come in here and like observe this and probably think I need to be like institutionalized, most likely. But I don't know.
I know that problem. Oh, you're just talking to nobody. They're
exactly. You're talking to the walls.
Yes, I talk to dead people, and so you know
exactly. Yeah, you want to talk about a really messed up Christmas? Yeah, here we go, guys. Here we go. Every Christmas with my family, they're just looking at me like, I know what you do. You know what I mean? Yeah,
not talk about what you do, okay?
Right. God.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. It's crazy though.
That's, you know what? It sounds a lot like kind of like with my family. So my family, we all have like it's the white elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that everybody, well, in my family, everybody is a sensitive.
Oh wow.
It's just some don't accept it.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure. Yeah.
You know, so I'm the only one that's kind of gone and said, you know what, I'm going to do something with this.
You've stepped out of the paranormal closet, right? Yeah. Like,
right.
Yeah. There you go.
So we all sit there and we all call it like code words, like, oh, Dad and his spidey senses.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. That makes sense.
Or Auntie and her magic fingers. You know?
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
All these like weird little things. And, you know, so we all just kind of sit there. And then my dad will ask me questions about, so what are you doing right now? Do you really want to know, Dad?
Yeah, it's like,
Or
do
you
you
just
really
think
want to
that.
know the answer? Right.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
usually he really does. He's starting to get a little more into it. Like, so every Christmas he'll ask me, what kind of equipment do you want?
Oh yeah.
Because
Mhm.
my dad being a recording artist,
Yeah.
he's like, okay, I'll buy you equipment.
I tell you, yeah, that's a good idea though. That's a good idea.
So we always are like, I'm always thinking of like, okay, what's the coolest piece of crap I can get?
You need to get like a reel-to-reel audio recorder.
Oh my gosh, a reel-to-reel?
Yes.
I have one.
Yeah,
I swear
okay.
to God, we have
Oh,
one, 'cause
wow,
that's
that's
what
awesome.
my dad used to record on. Is a
Yes,
reel-to-reel.
exactly. I'm telling you, like we receive, it's interesting to me because there's a big difference between, analog recording and
Yes.
digital recording.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
absolutely.
different,
Yes.
they're different frequencies and they're picking up on different frequencies. And so it's interesting stuff I have a reel-to-reel play, a big bastard that, weighs like 50 pounds. It's like, it's a lot of fun. So like to kind of play around with that stuff. But yeah, I have like
I used to have an 8-track recorder.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I have a 4-track over here that you use a cassette tape with. So again, analog, but it's kind of fun because now we've taken one whole track and we've just put in pre-recorded questions.
Yeah.
And then you hit record and let those questions play out and they can just answer. Like you've taken the investigator out of the investigation now. Like set it and forget it.
That's
Get the hell out of here.
That's
So
great.
See, that's really
we've
cool.
now tried to like take this even a step further. My buddy Paul, I have a friend, his name is Paul Kosis. And if you have ever watched any one of my movies, he's been in a couple of them. But Paul is a God-blessed genius when it comes to just audio stuff, right? Just stuff. And he is quite literally a mad scientist. And he has built a device that is so amazing. It's just a box and there's all these bells and whistles and knobs and, switches and all this stuff. And he knows, pretty much the only one knows what any one of those things do. And he'll set it up. And what this box is doing is it's listening at the noise floor. So it's way down. Now you're setting the parameters. You set these parameters, right? And so it's listening in this section here, whereas our speech is up here. So we can ask questions. The box recognizes the fact, hey, that's a human. I'm not even going to bother with that. It's what's the response underneath everything. And what's interesting is you'll see this little red light come on. It then is recording it, and then it'll spit it out to you real time. And so you're hearing a real-time EVP response in their actual voice. This is nothing there is no phonetic generator. There is no built-in word bank. This is literally just pulling from the atmosphere around it. And now it's so damn sensitive that even a click or a snap or anything like that will sound earth-shattering. So there's a lot of room for error there. So then Paul decided, let's take the investigator out of the investigation, right? So now we can take the same box and with this freaking amazing thing or whatever, Paul's like, okay, we're going to try something. We cruise over here to the studio and turn on this computer. Paul's like, go to this website. Here's your login credentials. Okay, I log in. He's like, okay, you see that right there? I'm like, yeah, what is that? He's like, that's our device. Go ahead and turn it on. I'm like, turn it on? He's like, yeah, so you turn the device on from the computer. Again, the computer's gone. It's not even around, right? You could be a freaking Paraguay and turn this thing on as long as you had an internet connection. So I was like, okay, now what? And he goes, let's set our parameters here, there, whatever. Cool, whatever. And so we do that. And then I was like, okay, now what? He goes, now we're just going to wait. And then sure enough, there's an audio file that pops up. And so you click play and there's your real-time EVPs right there.
Wow, that's great.
You can download it, dump it into your audio software, whatever you want. And it's, again, you have taken the investigator out of the investigation and you're able to just observe what's going on, like in the environment.
Is so cool
that
to
is
me.
interesting.
Like, because since I know a little bit about like recording devices growing up in it, and stuff like that, I'm like sitting here going, whoa, I never thought of that.
So I'm telling you, like it is, It's phenomenal too, because and Paul is one of those guys. He doesn't sleep. I think if that man sleeps for an hour and a half a day, it's a miracle. And I've been on the road with the dude. You know what I mean? It's like I know he doesn't sleep, but he is always making tweaks and adjustments.
Right.
And so now I think we're on like version 3 of this thing. And even on my YouTube channel, there's a few videos of me and Paul messing around with what is the first version of that box. And I mean, even that is phenomenal. But now it's like getting even better. It's just ridiculous what this man can do.
Well, you got to think that style is more raw. It's
very.
I don't know how else to explain it, just because I've heard the differences with my dad. When I grew up, my dad used reel to reel. He had a huge 8-track studio.
I remember those.
Absolutely.
Yes. Actually, I think it was 16-track. It was huge
wow.
studio table.
Massive.
Wow.
Had all the knobs like what you see in TV sort of thing.
Yeah.
And a reel to reel. And I still remember hearing the and
yes.
It'd swing back. But there's something about that sound that is very different. And I never thought of it using it for paranormal.
I'm telling you.
Because it's just very raw. It has a very different sound to it.
It does.
Hence why people will I'm not trying to get mute. I don't know. I'm getting kind of jazzed up. Sorry. You're getting me jazzed up when you get recording and music and then paranormal together. I'm like, I don't know.
You're going to lose your mind.
I'm going to lose my mind. But the Cars, the band The Cars.
Oh, yeah. The Cars.
Yeah.
The Cars. They recorded using with their speakers. They used actual car speakers because they wanted to make sure that their music sounded
interesting,
good in a car.
Yeah.
So this is kind of one of those things where you're taking equipment. What is going to make what you're recording sound the best?
Yeah.
And it's not always computer. It's not always, digital. It's, the analog, that just it's using that tape, that tape, it's crazy. Sorry, you blew my mind a little bit. So I had to go on my tangent.
No, I think that's
I'm better.
I used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of cassette tapes, just stuff that I'd bought.
Yeah.
I had, but tapes wear out, so a lot of them I don't have anymore because I just played them and I played them and I played them and they got stuck or what? Yeah, wore them out. So
yeah, it is fun. I think I don't know. I think I might. I don't know. I piss a lot of people off sometimes when I say things like this, right? But I would just go with me for a moment, please. Okay. There are certain types of things out there, like apps, for an example, right? And I'm a firm believer that some of these apps actually work, and I've tested them, and I can swear by some of these, right? There was one that I came across, and I won't even mention it or whatever. However, it had a built-in kind of a word bank. It wasn't even a word bank. It was just, random noises, voices. However, you could pick, and this is okay, you could go ahead and go in there and set old woman's voice. Okay. So now it's going to sound like these voices that are coming out are going to sound like an older woman, child, male, female, whatever. And you could pick the age and the gender basically of these voices that are coming out. Okay. Now, for me already, that's kind of all right, strike one, right? Because I could be in a building with reports of an elderly woman that had passed away, or I could be a charlatan on YouTube or something like that and be like, I just talked to the spirit of Betty White.
Yeah. A lot of prank callers use those.
Right. I just talked to the ghost of Kurt Cobain, Chester Bennington, Bob Saget. Okay. I just talked to the spirit of whoever. Right. And some people will believe this. Now, I just launched this video today on YouTube where I'm ripping this thing apart in as kind of a way as I possibly can. However, what I did was I took the app, I'm running the app, and I'm still recording, right? So I just took the audio, put it into my Adobe Audition program that I have here, and I reversed it because it sounds like reverse speech,
Uh-huh.
but it sounds ethereal, like that, all that stuff, right? So it sounds ethereal, but I reversed it, and guess what it says? Chapter 1. And it starts like it's a freaking audiobook. It's an audiobook.
Oh.
Guys, there's nothing like
No way.
Abso-freaking-lutely. It is an audiobook. So, and I know this for a fact. Like, I do work for Audible all the time. You know what I mean? I voice over audiobooks constantly. I know, like, it's now there is a place for all of these things. I'm not saying there's not. There is. My 13-year-old daughter would have a ball with this app and scaring the crap out of her friends. You know what I mean? They would have a ball with this. And it does say for entertainment purposes only, as they all do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But regardless, I mean, there are certain people out there that are going to use this in a professional paranormal setting.
Absolutely.
And it's going to set the field back decades. If people want
And
to
I've
take us
seen it.
seriously. Yes, exactly.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yes.
And I've always kind of wondered, like, what app are they using? I mean,
Right.
just out of curiosity.
Right.
But it just doesn't work.
Correct.
I just don't know how it would. I'm not saying that they all don't work.
No, absolutely. I would
saying
be
that-
the first to tell you that some of them 100% work. Yeah.
Right. But I think that, they just, a lot of them, they're using people,
Yes.
and it's entertainment. Like you said, it's
It is.
entertainment.
It
It's
is.
for the kids going, oh my gosh, what's going on in my house? That sort of.
I am constantly asked the question, right, about certain paranormal celebrities and things like that, right? I'm always asked about the question. I'm like, look. I'm not going to talk smack, right? I'm not going to be that guy because there's two types of us, right? There are paranormal investigators. There are paranormal entertainers.
Mm-hmm.
But guys, there's room for everybody. You know what I mean? There really is. And there's a market for everybody, and there's room for everybody. We can all coexist. I promise. We all can. And if you don't like what one investigator does on a television show or whatever, just turn it off.
Exactly.
Just turn it off.
Move on.
We all have the right to investigate how we want.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what's
You
fun
know
about
what
it,
I
right?
mean?
There's no right way or wrong way to do this.
No.
Because if there
none
were,
of
we'd
us-
have all the
none of us-
answers.
Honestly, at the end of the day, none of us are experts.
No, God, no. God,
I
no.
mean, some of us have been doing it much longer than others, but
Yeah.
we're always learning. And if you are
That's-
somebody, I personally believe, and I could be stepping out of line here, but I personally believe that if you are somebody in this field who thinks that they don't need to learn anymore, then you need to move on to a different subject.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
makes sense.
because
I
there
agree.
there's always a place to learn.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that somebody who's been doing this for 30 years, there are the people who've been doing this for 30, 40 years. And
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
they know way more than I do. And they have a knowledge base that I just want to grow from. But I bet you they would tell you that they're still learning.
Yeah.
The
And that's
world's
the fun
changing.
part of
They're
it,
learning
right?
new things.
And that's the fun part of it. It's like, I mean, I could walk into a kitchen and I could try to bake a cake. Now, trust me, you don't want me baking a cake, but I'll damn sure try. And I have the tools and I have everything in front of me that I could make that damn cake.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not going to be as good, I promise you, as somebody else that's been baking for 30 years or whatever, but damn it, I'm going to try. And there's always, again, like to your point, there's always something more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's fun about life in general, right? There's always somebody better. There is always somebody better. It's just how you're using your 24 hours every day, right? How are you using your 24 hours? It's like, are you using it getting better? Or are you using it to do whatever? I mean, it's just it. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's the fun part about pretty much everything. Just life
I
in
agree.
general.
For sure.
So,
So is there an app that you highly recommend?
there is one that is so cool. And I have tried numerous times on how to just break this thing apart, and I can't. I think it's called M, like M is in Mary, and then the number 2. And I forget exactly what else it was called, but like M2, and it's like Ghost Hunter app or Spirit Hunter app or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, check that out. There's numerous tools within the app. I think it was a few bucks. I forget what it costs. It did cost some money. And right out of the gate, I was like, oh, it says it has an EMF detector. I was like, how do you put an EMF detector in a phone that's naturally producing EMF, right? And it's naturally giving that off. So I'm like, oh, I got you now. You know what I mean? Type of thing. And
I pulled it up. So I see it.
Okay.
Hunter M2 on the App Store.
Okay, that's it. So you can calibrate it. You can kind of reset it, right? And it'll zero itself out. And then I was like, oh, I'm just going to put this up to a running microwave.
Here it is. Let's see.
And so I got it onto this running microwave or whatever, and it was just pegging. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to test this with like an actual EMF detector with a digital readout telling me the milligauss that this thing is putting out, right? They were dead on. They were both dead on. I'm like, get the F out of here. Okay, cool. And then I'm like, okay, it's got a couple different things to use for like different voices or things like that for spirit communication, all of that is really, really cool. And so, yeah, I've tried that, I've tried and I can't break it. So I think for everything I can see, it seems legit. And
that
Ovilus
is one
5,
that actually I tried too. And I want to say it really was. And I think I researched it.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I researched where they took things in the phone to be able to, you have to hold it a certain way.
Yes.
For it to calibrate, but it took certain pieces of the phone to be able to detect EMF and things like that. It's a very odd, like they really did their research on it.
They did, for sure. And so you definitely get your money's worth, I think.
Yeah.
And there's even a geophone in it.
Yes.
I mean, this thing's picking up vibrations and temperature fluctuations and humidity and barometric pressure. It's reading all of this stuff real time. And it's dead on with every piece of actual equipment that I can put up next to it.
So this is a little more different than a spirit box, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Now, I do believe that it has that functionality in it, or at least there is some kind of a weird thing.
I think that there is, but I didn't. I personally didn't really use that. I wanted to see how the equipment worked because what's the point of hearing, words if the equipment's crap?
This is the crap that I'm talking about. My friend Jason is here, and he just brings this thing in and sits it right next to me. That's heavy. Say hi, buddy.
Hi, Jason.
Dude, that is heavy. That is a heavy doll. Oh my!
Are you trying to give us nightmares?
The head on that is solid. It's got a solid head.
Does it talk? Oh God! It blinks.
Oh no!
It moves its mouth.
Put it closer. Can I see it?
I think that came from the island of Misfit Toys. Is where that came from.
Why the fuck would you bring that here? Here, take that. It's gonna haunt my dreams. God. Oh, that's terrible. But yeah, this is the bull crap that I'm talking about, guys. Like my friends.
Well, no, when we were there. Yes, when we were there to come see you, somebody came and just randomly brought you a doll out of her trunk.
This is what I'm saying, guys. Like it just happens. Like, and I don't know why. Like the word is out. Like Josh hates dolls, and now we're just gonna mess with Josh.
Yeah, she was like,
Bob Van Buren doesn't like dolls either, so no dolls from me either. No dolls.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she was like bringing it out, holding it by its foot like it was super icky, and was like, Josh, I'm supposed to bring this to you. And like dropped it off. Its hair was all like chopped up and everything. I was like,
that doll came from Hauser. That's where that doll came from, was Johnny Hauser over at Villisca. Little butthead. Yeah. Because I had snuck that doll over there from another person. I said, hey, go just put that in the house over there. You know what I mean? So yeah. He knows.
Next time when I come over, do you want me to bring the creepy elf?
No.
He already has one.
They can make friends with one another.
Maybe they'll run off together. Yeah.
Yeah, they can go run off together. It's fine.
Run off in the sunset.
That's right. Off you go. Please.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the G Crew. Tell me
Yeah.
how that all started.
So yeah, G Crew. It's just a fun little podcast, right? That we do. It's a video podcast. It's on Patreon. It's Nick Groff from like Ghost Adventures, Ghost of Shepherdstown, like all those paranormal shows. Chad Lindbergh from Fast and the Furious, Supernatural, October Sky.
Kitty, 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 kitty.
And then we also have Johnny Hauser, of course, from Velisca, and then myself. And
Right.
so it's just us four guys sitting around talking shop, you know, and we talk to so many different people, like not just in the paranormal. I mean, we've talked to Olympic gold medalists. We've talked to, you know, recording artists. We've talked to all these really cool people.
That's cool.
Yeah. You know, actors and actresses and all of this stuff. Like we have a lot of fun with it. But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of like how it came about. Like I was doing a Patreon page at that time, and you know, from like Paranormal Lockdown and all that stuff, I had met Nick and all that stuff, and I had reached out and I said, "Hey man, do you mind if I interview you for a Patreon episode?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure, that's cool, let's do it." So we set it up, we did the recording, all that stuff, and then Nick had reached out to me. God, it was like a week or two later. He was like, "Hey man, how did everybody like the episode?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, they loved it. It was great." He's like, "I had a lot of fun with that." He's like, "So if you ever need a co-host, let me know, and I would love to do that." I'm like, whoa. Like it was weird to me anyway that Nick Groff was saying, "Hey, if you need a co-host, let me know." And I was like, "Bro."
Yeah, that
like,
would be weird.
I'm like,
Sure.
"Yeah, I'm pretty sure that your price tag is higher than mine on that. So I
You're
could
like,
just be
"Oh,
your
okay."
co-host." Right. So, I mean, it had gone for like a year after that conversation. You know, I hadn't really talked to Nick much, you know, just here and there or whatever. And like, so I didn't want to be that guy that was like, "Hey man, you want to be on the show this week? Hey man, you want to be on the show this week? Hey man, you want to be on the show this week?" Like, I didn't want to do that. I was
Right.
like, I think he was just being nice, like blah, 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 right? So I get a phone call from Hauser, who never calls anybody. Okay. Johnny doesn't use the phone, period. And so
Is he a texter then?
he's a texter for sure.
Oh, okay.
And so, like me, I'm the exact opposite. I would rather talk to somebody, hear
Me
the
too.
inflection
That's
in their
me.
voice, right? Hear that.
Yeah.
But Johnny called and I was like, "Shit, who died?" You know what I mean? So it's like, "What happened, buddy? Like, are you in jail? What do you need?" And he was like, "What are you doing in 5 minutes?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm sitting at home. I'm doing nothing. I'm chasing the children around. That's what I'm doing." He's like, "I need you on the phone in 5 minutes. I'm going to call back. Make sure you answer." Okay. I'm like, cryptic call ends. Awesome. Cool, man. But yeah, he called back and it was like a group call or whatever. I don't know what you do, but yeah. So, but it was Nick and Chad and Johnny and then myself. And I was like, "Hey boys, like, how we doing?" You know? And then they brought up the idea of the G Crew and if we wanted to do it. And obviously I said, yeah, like, duh,
Exactly.
of course. But yeah, I mean, so then it was right before 2020 hit, right? Like right before the
Oh, wow.
pandemic shit. And so here we are, like the four of us could do a video podcast because the four of us are just doing what we're doing right now. And it hit at the right moment because nobody was doing anything anyway. It was like everything had stopped. So we might as well sit down and talk to some really cool people and hopefully just get a few laughs in. You know what I mean? Like just anything, just to kind of break up the monotony of just sitting at home,
Sure.
playing video games and just, you know, drinking or whatever. But still, it was just, I don't know. It was perfect timing, I think, for all of us. I think we all needed that. At least the four of us certainly needed that, you know, at that time. So yeah.
Right.
So
So
it was really cool.
you're still doing this, correct?
Yeah, we still are. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And are you doing them live or pre-recorded?
Now, so before we were all fancy spancy with it, and we were doing these pre-recorded things where we would line up like 4 different like interviews in a day. And it was like a whole day's worth of work where you would
Oh
have a
my
camera
God,
on
that's
you.
Like that's mind
Yeah.
melting.
Oh my God, yeah. So you would have cameras on you, and then you would have to take all that information and upload it. So then we'd take it off to Hauser's son, who would then edit everything together. And then we would record another one and upload it, record another one, upload. So we had like 30 episodes in the can ready to roll. Like, it was cool to roll that content out. Like, just boom, 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 boom. And we had some big name guests, you know, that
Yes,
were on
you
there.
guys do. Yes,
It was a lot of
absolutely.
fun. And so like, it was pretty cool. I don't know. But yeah, it was a good time.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, so yeah.
Sounds fun.
I
Uh-huh.
like your guys' show because it sounds, you guys can tell that you guys are friends.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it kind of reminds me of like with me, Krista, and Brandy. Like,
Mhm.
you know, everybody has their personality.
Yeah.
And everybody gets to kind of banter. And every once in a while, two will go on like a little, you know, a little banter about something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really enjoy about your guys' show. And you guys have really good guests. And you're
Thank you.
knowledgeable.
Cool.
We
And you
try
guys
to
are
be.
really knowledgeable. If you know, if people are watching right now and they haven't subscribed
yeah.
to this podcast, please do.
Yeah.
You guys will learn a lot of new things, and not just new things, but just be entertained with just the
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's fun. You feel
is
like
fun.
I don't know. Your guys' podcast reminds me of like hanging out with my friends.
Yeah.
Give us the
that's
name
what
of the
it was.
it makes
podcast
me
again?
happy.
G Crew.
G
Yes.
Crew. All right.
G
G
Crew.
Crew.
Yeah.
Remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
G-Crew.
Yeah. And so you can cruise over to patreon.com/G_crew. And then yeah, you'll find it. It's like $1. It's
Yes.
$1 a month, $1 a month.
Yes,
And that's that.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
It is
It's
fun.
awesome.
It is
And
fun.
you guys will really enjoy it because you know it's kind of being able to talk paranormal without getting too like there's serious
Yeah.
moments, yes, but you get to just have fun with it and listen to it and interact
Yeah.
with it in your own
Yeah.
way. And that's what I like about it because paranormal doesn't have to be so damn serious all the time.
Right. That's
You
very
know,
true. That's
You
very
can
true.
goof around with your friends. You can talk and be like, "Oh, were you laying in bed with that ghost?"
Right.
Ooh,
He kind of flippant with it. Yeah, for sure. Uh-huh.
that ghost
That's
called
funny.
What were
me
you
the
doing in his
B-word.
bed? Huh?
You know, and you can kind of goof around with it and also make
Oh.
fun because you can know
Yeah.
your own
Oh,
friends.
sure.
And it's I really enjoy it. So your guys'
Oh.
show, I have to say, is really is a really great show. If people have not subscribed to it or gone to your
Oh, yeah.
Patreon, they
You got to
really
go over
should.
there. Yeah.
It's a great show. You'll really enjoy it because, you know, it's kind of the same idea of like what we tried to portray with Blondes and Booze and try to put forward. You know, it's having a good time,
Yeah.
having a safe space to discuss
Mhm.
things,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
you know, bring new ideas to the table and,
Yeah.
you know, maybe go on a rant about reel to reel once in a while.
Or 8 tracks.
Or 8-track. That's right. That's right.
You know, being able to announce that you liked the Beach Boys as a
Yeah,
kid.
exactly.
It's
How many people
therapy.
can say that? Right? Come on.
It is
Damn
therapy.
It is therapy. Damn it.
You're a safe
It was so
place.
funny. The other night, like I went to this, my buddy was playing a show, just him and an acoustic guitar. You know what I mean? It was so freaking cool. And we had helped him like set up everything, like the stage and stuff like that. So I knew there was an extra mic on stage. That Mamma Jamma started playing an acoustic version of Sloop John B by the Beach Boys.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I was like,
Like boop 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 boop.
so I hopped up on stage and I started singing harmonies because it's like one of my favorite songs in the world. You know what I mean? But I'm like, God damn it. Like, how could you sing a Beach Boys song without the harmonies? Let's do this. Come on. Like, God damn. It was great.
That's
It was just
awesome.
Did your heart beat like this? Like a
It did.
like
it
a
did.
Disney movie?
It was more than that. I was like, oh my God, this dude is playing some Beach Boys. And yeah, I could say some stuff and I won't. But yeah, it was great. It was great. It was awesome.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
know what you're saying. You know, when you have those moments, it's just, you know, your heart,
Yeah.
your
Memories
heart warms
forever.
and it melts.
Yeah.
It does. Yes, exactly. It was a lot of fun. So yeah.
That's
Um,
amazing.
So what do you have in the works, or what are you doing now, or what's coming up that we can possibly
So-
tune into?
So, my buddy Jason, who actually just kind of popped in here real quick with the creepy ass doll, him and I do a show that's called the Ectoplasm Show. And if you can, you can't really see it because my green
No.
screen. Damn it! It's a cute little Slimer. Anyway, on
I
there.
got that sticker.
Yeah, you got one of those stickers.
I got one of those.
Yeah. So, but the Ectoplasm Show, that we've been covering some pretty interesting things that have been going on just 5 minutes away from my front door.
Like we were saying.
Well, and I'm telling you, like, I don't know if you guys have been following this at all, but if you cruise over to like Newsweek and things like that, there is a very interesting story from my neck of the woods where it says there is a woman who claims that her father was a serial killer, has killed over 70 people and buried them on that property.
What?
Absolutely. Now the FBI and everybody got involved, and I mean they started to do some excavating and all that stuff, and found like they had cadaver dogs out there. They were hitting in numerous places. Blah blah blah. I mean it was nuts. So I went out and got a press pass. I mean I have everything. So I'm like interviewing these people and talking to these people now on the regular basis.
Awesome.
Trying to come up with a documentary of sorts, right? So Jason and I have been working on, and my wife, of course, is also helping. But I mean, it's crazy. So we're kind of going with this and seeing how it unfolds. Now, as it stands right now, the case has been closed. They didn't find anything out there, which is interesting because, I mean, for the past 40 years anyway, people have always said, don't go out to Green Hollow. Don't go out to Green Hollow. Like, don't ever. Even me growing up, we were always told, don't go out there. And so we don't, like, I don't know. So now the lady that has accused her father of doing all of this, she says they're not digging in the right spot. You know, they're not.
Can I?
Right,
I'm just going to ask. Can I go to Green Hollow?
I mean, now it's totally open to foot traffic and all of that stuff. And I mean, so yeah, I mean, there's one of the reasons why Jason is up here this weekend is because we were to go out there and have a meeting with the guy that lives on the property now, and we're going to talk and all that fun stuff. But yeah, but interesting nonetheless. So, I mean, now on the Ectoplasm Show, we've been covering this more and more. I've been in contact with her name is Lucy. We've been talking a few different times and trying to get her to come on to the show or even sit down for an interview. I mean, anything like that. She's kind of in Newsweek's pocket, if we're being honest. You know, at this
Okay.
her sisters and all this stuff are saying she's caca duty crap crazy. That never happened. Dad was strict, but he certainly wasn't a serial killer. I mean, it's just back and forth.
But she don't know. I mean, but people don't know. I mean.
And so, yeah, like, I mean, we're standing here and I'm like, well, I'm not trying to speculate. I don't want to speculate. I would love to believe you, and I don't know what to feel. But see, that's
you're trying
kind
to
of
find
the
the story,
right? And so that's kind of the beauty of this documentary or docu-series that we're putting together. Is, I mean, think like Tiger King, right?
Yeah.
I remember sitting down and watching Tiger King. Yes, exactly. And you're like, that mamma jamma, or like that lady totally fed her husband to the tigers, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, maybe she didn't.
Right.
But this guy over here, he did this for sure. But wait,
yes,
maybe he didn't.
Let it all unfold.
Who did that? Yes. Or like
Let
that
it all
Making a
unfold.
Murderer. Do you remember that? Like
Yes.
Making a Murderer?
Yes.
Good God. You're like, oh, that dude for sure did it. Wait.
Yes, I
Did
have a
he?
minor in abnormal psychology.
So,
So,
yes,
sadly, I love this stuff.
So like right in the same vein then, right? So it's like how we are feeling right now with all of this weird chaos that's going on. Like we want to paint that and present that.
Right.
We want the audience to experience what we're experiencing right now too.
Right.
And so we're just kind of going
wherever
with
it goes.
Exactly.
Whether it goes to, yes, okay, bodies all over the place, or mental health. How did we get from point A to point B?
Right.
Or truth being told. I mean, there's just
yeah.
so much.
There's a lot to unpack with all of
Oh
this.
my gosh. I'm excited about it. Okay, so so you guys are working on this right now.
Yes.
Or trying.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So I mean, as this is unfolding, I mean, is kind of how we're putting all of this together. And so it's
How
like, I mean, it starts all the way
exciting.
back in October, of this year. And so it's like, oh, yeah, we did all the filming for October. So this is what we have for October. And this is the news articles. And this is the news reports from October. And here's November.
It's a
and
while.
December. Oh, my God.
It's
Like,
going to take a
it-
while.
Now, I will say this, since the FBI has said, we didn't find anything, sorry, not sorry. I mean, they were
Well-
only out there for 3 days, to be fair. They were only out there for 3 days. I think that
Right.
this is a large expanse of land, and completely off the beaten path. Nobody would know what you were stumbling into. But regardless, she is trying to now get organize some kind of an excavation with professionals, of course. She already has permission from the current landowners to do so. I mean, so she's trying to get all this together. And I talked to her not even 24 hours ago and said, hey, she told me, like, hey, listen, like, if we do get the go ahead and break ground and do this, like, Jason and I can absolutely be out there while this is happening.
Right. Documenting.
every-
Have they been out
fucking
there with
camera.
like ground penetrating radar or anything?
So as far as the FBI is concerned, I'm not sure exactly what lengths they went to. Now, I could talk to all of my police officer buddies in the area too. However, they have a gag order on them. They are
Of
not
course
to
they
speak
do.
to anyone.
Just what, sheriff's department, city police, or both?
Yeah,
All of them?
county sheriff's
County.
department, county sheriff. Yep.
Oh,
Gag
wow.
order. They do not speak to anybody, including.
Yeah, they wouldn't have that unless there was something.
Something's
I don't know.
happening.
Like,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Mhm.
It's a very odd set of circumstances. So I don't know. Like, and I would love to talk to these guys because I've literally grown up with these boys and I know how to read these boys. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I know what they would
I
be
can't wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm hoping
should
you
be
keep us up to date on this.
Yeah, for sure. And so like anything that kind of comes up or comes to fruition or anything like that, like Jason and I have been trying our best to cover as much as possible on the Ectoplasm show, and which is a free show. You guys, I mean, anywhere you get podcasts, you can just subscribe to that for nothing. And so you can just kind of follow along. And it's, of course, Jason and I talking shop, and it's a lot of, dick and fart jokes and things like that, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yes.
And it's serious sometimes, but it's serious when it needs to be. Yes.
Right.
Exactly. But yeah. So we talk shop and I tell Jason I love him and he doesn't reciprocate and it's fun. But yeah. It's
You're
a good time.
alone in your feelings.
I am.
Right.
I'm alone in my feelings. Dang it.
Oh my
Damn.
God.
Yes. Yes.
I'm in my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I'm all in my
man.
feels, guys.
Yeah.
Like I could bring Jason in right now and just embarrass the hell out of him, but I won't. He's entertaining guests right now. So yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, you don't want to
preoccupied.
embarrass them in front of guests.
Yeah. My
Well, we
God.
have about 10 more minutes left before we hit the 2-hour mark, which
Nice. Great.
so, but I just want to say again, I've had so much fun with you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
on
this has
here.
been great.
I
It
think
has
it's
been a
been
lot of
nice
fun.
meeting you, Josh.
Yeah, you as well. You as well. Like the 2 hours or whatever kind of
It
flew
went
by.
by fast.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I
It-
talk
it
too
did.
much, but I don't know. I'm
No,
sorry.
you talk. At least you talk like good stuff. I mean,
I
like
hope so.
you could have 2 hours of just like craziness, and
Yeah,
no, it's
definitely.
like good stuff. You got me super amped up, and I
Yeah,
And I got to pilot this episode too.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's- but it's like now you guys can go and experiment and all that stuff with like reel to reel and just
I am
analog
that-
type stuff, right?
like that. Like okay, so like the reel to reel business, like that is mind blowing. Like I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
my dad, who watches sometimes part of my shows.
Oh,
And then he
see,
gets
yeah, perfect.
uncomfortable and like
yeah.
leaves because he's all like psychic and doesn't like to,
Yeah.
Well,
accept it.
while we're
I'm
talking
gonna make him
about
watch it, and I'm gonna be like, guess what? We were talking reel to reel, 8-track, like
Yes.
all that.
while we're talking about old technology and analog
Oh, yeah.
things, guess what I got?
Analog. Yeah.
What do
What
you
you
got?
got?
He'll be
Oh,
like,
bro, yes. Is
This
that mini
takes a-
DV?
A DVD tape
That's mini
that goes in
DV.
here. Yes, it's an analog
I think
video
I
camera.
recorded one of my births with that.
Those- I
still may have
remember.
mine
I
somewhere.
think my 18-year-old.
Oh my
was
God.
like,
See,
Yes.
something like that.
I had one just like that. So like I was my wife was in the army, and she was actually in Iraq. And I was in a band. I was
this.
touring around and all that stuff. And so she had known I was getting into filmmaking and all this stuff, but she got me one of those at the PX and sent it all the way over to me.
Those were expensive.
They were expensive.
Back in the day, they were very expensive,
Yes.
but it's an
And so-
analog video camera.
It was so freaking cool. But I
That was
recorded every
expensive.
show that we did, and I would always pick somebody that I like trusted, you know, the people that would like follow us around, and I got to record this show, and I would put it onto a tape, and then I'd send it over to her in Iraq so she could see like all the crazy stupid crap that we were doing. But yeah. Oh my God,
That
that's
is so
interesting.
cool.
I had to share that.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I'm gonna say that
crazy.
I carried one of those around with me all over
Yeah.
Europe.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I was in Europe for 5 years and carried one everywhere.
Holy shit.
That,
So yeah, it
Yeah.
still works too. I still use it.
I didn't know that.
That's
Yeah.
The
amazing.
things
Yeah.
that we learn about our friends. You know
Yeah.
that I'm only the third generation to live here from Europe.
Wow.
Well, there you go. See,
I'm actually like related to royalty. Like I'm a direct descendant of Lady Jane Grey.
Holy crap.
Like yes, like my family, like literally, like my family it's direct descendant.
Yeah.
My family the what's that castle? There's a castle in England that we're like direct descendants of.
Wow.
It's like the
Windsor?
most haunted castle in England. What is that?
Windsor? Buckingham?
No, not Buckingham.
Are you
This is
talking?
the Tudor line.
I
Oh, I
hate
see.
that when I try to remember something on the fly and then it's
Yeah.
like you lose it. You're
I
like,
know.
I hate that.
That's. Oh, she's checking. She's checking.
We are temporarily experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Oh, Chillingham.
I used to be a DJ.
Castle.
There it
I was
is.
just gonna say Chillingham.
What
I
was it?
knew it.
Chillingham Castle.
I knew it.
So
Yeah.
that was my family's up until the 70s.
Wow.
70s or early 80s. And
So-
we still, yeah.
As far as like Chillingham, watch A Blood Red Sky, which is a Chad Kalick documentary. And Chad
Okay.
Kalick went and he did, it's called A Blood Red Sky. He did a crazy set of experiments at Chillingham.
Really?
It was amazing. Like Chad Kalick was honestly one of the reasons why I got into filmmaking. And I was fortunate enough to just earlier this year film a project with him as well. For a
Really?
few weeks.
Hmm, that's good.
Absolutely. And so that should be coming out. God knows when. I don't know when. But yeah, like pretty freaking cool. Like pretty freaking cool. So again,
That's awesome.
so Kalick is actually an Iowa boy originally, now in LA, you know, but I mean, he's worked with like Spielberg, you know what I mean? So it's
Wow.
like he's got,
Really?
oh my God, absolutely. So it was, again, like for an Iowa boy, watching an Iowa boy do a documentary about crazy crap that happens in Iowa and all of that stuff. And that was why I started to become a filmmaker, to then being in production meetings with these same dudes. Like it was
That's
weird.
awesome.
It was super
It's
cool.
mind blowing, isn't
Yes,
it?
absolutely.
I
But
really
yeah,
think
check that out
like,
for sure.
I really think that like these areas, like you're talking about, like Iowa, Indiana, even like there's certain areas that are just so saturated.
But think about that, like because the opposite is true also, right? Because you're dead on. Like, however, you have places that are considered holy lands, right? There are
Mhm.
places where people go specifically to pray,
Right.
right? So I mean, the opposite then would be true. There would be like what we would call like a hell mouth, right? Not that
Right.
Iowa is hell, but I mean, come on. But still, it's still kind of hell.
Right.
But there are interesting areas of the world that weird crap happens, and maybe possibly I don't know why or what the antecedent of that would be, but
What it is.
maybe.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of weird crap that happens in Iowa, and I don't know if it's just us.
So I have to
I
say,
don't know.
on
I'm
my
trying to
way-
figure it out. If there's like a triangle over Iowa
Yeah.
or
Like a
what's
Bermuda
going on.
Yeah.
Triangle
Something
of
is.
paranormal.
Yeah.
I'm glad Texas is way down south now. Now that y'all talking about Iowa, I'm glad I'm way down
Texas
here
is
now.
badass, though. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in Texas, too, though. my friend.
The Texas
ain't slouching
Chainsaw
in that.
Massacre. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Texas is not slouching.
No.
Trust me.
No.
So when I went to, I walked the property of Villisca. I
Yeah,
only walked the property. I didn't investigate.
sure.
But on our way there, we also stopped in Skidmore.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Jeez.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's another place where it's just like we walked around and, especially the team I used to be with and stuff, they always found it fun because I've only lived here for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And so it's always fun to say, okay, kind of like Krista said, let's put Erin in places and see what she gets.
That's awesome.
Because I don't know the places.
Oh,
Just like, Malvern Manor. I didn't know anything about it. I go in there and I'm like, whoa, what the frick?
yeah.
So Skidmore,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, Erin hasn't heard of Skidmore. Let's throw her in there and have her walk around and crap. So
Why not? Crystal,
but-
thank you for saying that. And yeah, Michigan.
yes.
Yes.
I have been to Michigan numerous times now over the past couple years, and I'm talking damn near a dozen times over the couple years.
Wow.
Jesus. There is
Yeah.
some shit. There is some shit going on in Michigan for sure.
Well, I was born and raised in Flint, Michigan.
Oh, really? So yeah,
Yeah.
I go up to Saginaw constantly for
See,
filming and all
yeah,
that stuff. So I go
that-
right by Flint. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's all right
Oh,
from
that's
Detroit all the
crazy.
way up. It's just
Yeah.
So my
Wow.
dad was
It's weird.
born in Sault Ste. Marie, which is where they do the huge Michigan Paracon thing.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
I've heard it's that is really because a lot of the buildings that they have for the college, my grandfather was a professor there. And the buildings that they had housing for professors
Yeah.
were for military like
Like a barracks?
the higher ups, like officers and
Oh,
stuff. It was
yeah.
officer housing at one point.
Wow.
And so they have all these little buildings. So if you go to Michigan, where in Sault Ste. Marie, where they have the community college there, all the small buildings were actually officers' quarters
Dang.
at one point.
Interesting.
So I
That's
guess
crazy.
it's super haunted. I mean, it's
Wow.
very much haunted.
Check that out. That'd be
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I always love when they have things that are they used to be officers' quarters and then they've made them into professors' buildings. A lot of colleges do that.
Yeah.
And you find that there's a lot of energy to those.
Yeah, for sure. God, it's amazing.
Cool.
That's freaking cool.
Okay, well, everybody, we're rounding up at the 2-hour mark. We need to get off of here.
Okay.
I'm
We're getting-
tired of
We're
putting my
getting
desk
kicked out
up
of the
today.
club.
Get kicked out. Get
Attention,
kicked
ladies
out.
and gentlemen, prepare for landing.
I'm tired.
It was
Oh.
last
That
call
wore me
30 minutes
out.
ago.
I enjoyed it, y'all.
church-
Thank you for inviting me here to quote unquote
Oh.
host this. So I appreciate
Bob,
it.
we
I'm
love
honored.
you.
It was great, Bob.
We
Thank
love
you.
you.
It was nice meeting you, my friend.
Yeah,
Nice
Josh,
meeting
thank you for coming on too. And
Yeah.
before we go now, Brandy, Aaron, tell us again about when y'all show is on. I know we're live now, but just for people that's just tuning in or watching this recorded. So when are y'all normally on? When is y'all show?
We are on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central.
Okay.
That's just our Blondes and Booze show. And then our Blondes, Booze, and the Woo is Friday nights at 8 p.m. Central.
Yes.
I don't have all the list. I thought when Krista was going to be back, she has all of our stuff.
That's okay.
Well, we've got a lot
We love
going
her.
on, and we will make sure to post all of that stuff.
Yes.
So also with our guest here, we want to make sure to promote his things as well. So we will
Yes.
make sure to post that also on the Blondes and Booze page. But if you want to real quick, Josh, go ahead and plug that as
Go ahead and do
well.
it. Yeah, please.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you just cruise over to YouTube,
Mhm.
it's at Josh Hurd 1981. Check out the fun stuff I have going on there, or just joshhurd.net. It's kind of the one-stop shop.
That'll work.
There you go.
Yep. He's kind
Yeah.
of narrowed it down to one place
Yeah.
to be able to find all of it, which is
Exactly.
very helpful.
Yeah.
And Yes, and as when we find out about any of the other interesting things that he's been talking about this evening with some of the that I am super excited about.
Yeah.
Documentaries and filming. Sorry, I'm getting giddy over it.
You can tell she's getting excited. She's like, oh,
Yep.
Like so much. So as soon as we find out about it and he gives us the okay, we will totally make sure that we post that on all of our stuff.
Awesome.
To
That'd be
get
great.
that out there as
Thank
well.
you. Thank you.
We want to thank you, Josh, so much for coming tonight.
No, it was a great time.
It has been a really great
It
conversation.
has been great. Thank
yes,
you.
it has been
It
fun.
was fun.
Let me plug mine in real quick too, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
If you like
Yeah.
variety, I talk about a whole wide variety of things. I mean, this is what my topic is. I've had
The
people
world.
with interesting professions, with general interests, with hobbies, how-to segments, instruments. So I am
Even
on.
had me on. I was
Yes,
on.
right.
You just
My
never
show.
know.
What's that?
I said, you just never know.
You never know. Yes, right. My show is on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. Eastern. That's Van Buren Variety on YouTube. So like and subscribe if you like varieties. So give me some
Like to learn
suggestions
about it
too.
all.
Well, yeah,
I love it.
At all.
that's what I talk
Yeah,
about
don't
right here.
And don't forget that Texas Front Porch.
Yes.
I've been co-hosting with him on Mondays at 6:30. That is Central Time. I don't, like I said, I don't have the list. I don't know where Krista went. She's
busy.
She abandoned ship.
And we apologize to everybody right now, but she has all of it. I know that Bigfoot Michigan Rob is on Thursdays at noon. That is Eastern Time.
Yes.
Help me out. Can you remember there?
Jason has the serial papers.
You know
Jason
what?
McLean.
We will.
That's on
we will
Wednesday
go ahead
at-
and post on the Blondes and Booze page. We will go ahead and post a listing of all of the upcoming times of all the shows, and which we should be doing anyways. We should be regularly posting those. So we will go ahead and post those regular times along with Josh's stuff and along with the Van Buren Variety page. We will make sure to post all of those times and available shows because they're so awesome and they're good.
Yeah.
Learning stuff.
Yep.
So, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all.
And again,
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Krista missed it. Dang it.
Oh, it's fine. Chris,
We'll
is
see
fine.
y'all
She's
next
doing
time.
Her own thing. Let's leave her be.
All right.
Leave
We'll
her
see y'all
be.
later.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Just put on our.
Goodbye.
I got it. Yes.
There you go.
Bye.
Bye.